Sting has had some of the most iconic matches, which have put his name among the all-time greats of wrestling. From his match against Flair to his WrestleMania match against Triple H. However, there is a moment that surpasses all of his legendary wins. A moment that instantly made him the favorite of many. Let's find out which one it is, shall we?
Oh my God! It's Sting!
Number 7. A Rising Star. Clash of Champions 1988. Sting was still an amateur before 1988. Not that he wasn't popular, but he was yet to become a household name. He had the looks, the charisma, an arsenal of marvelous moves, and of course, good mic skills. WCW was sure that this guy was talented, and to push him further, he would be given a chance to share the ring with the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, who was the champion at that time. They were set to face each other at the very first Clash of Champions promo. Although it felt like a few minutes, the match was 45 minutes long, and not a single moment was boring. Both the stars put up an intense match, which was enough to satisfy the audience. Since it was a time-limit draw, the judges at ringside tried to make a decision as to who should be the winner. They just couldn't decide because both of them were so deserving. It was declared as a draw. Jim Ross said that Sting is the future of WCW. His words were very true, as this match brought up the inner brilliance out of him, as he was set to become one of the best in the upcoming years. Number 6. Sting vs. Ric Flair at Great American Bash 1990. At Starrcade 89. Sting would win a 4-man Robin Iron Man tournament to become the #1 contender for the world title. Who held the title? None other than Ric Flair himself. And to your surprise, Sting was part of the 4 Horsemen at that time. Flair pressured him to give up the title shot, but of course, he refused and thus was thrown out of the team. He had the chance to become the very best, and he absolutely would not let it slip. Both the legends would clash at the Great American Bash and present us with 16 minutes of uninterrupted wrestling action. Sting would finally win his first world title after pinning the Nature Boy. The crowd pop was real, which was an indication that the whole audience backed him. Number 5. Sting and Luger versus the Steiner Brothers at Super Brawl 1991. At the original Super Brawl 1991, if there was one match that made it so iconic, it had to be this match. It was a pure babyface versus babyface match where tag team champions the Steiner Brothers put their titles on the line against 2 of the top guys of the business, Sting and Lex Luger. The match was short, thrilling, and intense. It did not fail to impress the audience at all. This match was on all the headlines and would even go on to win the Pro Wrestling Illustrated Match of the Year. Nikita Koloff would interrupt and cost Sting and Luger the match, but ultimately it was the start of another successful feud of Sting versus Koloff. Number 4. Sting versus Lex Luger at Super Brawl 2. Exactly a year after the world would see Sting and Luger putting up a world-class performance against the Steiner Brothers, both the superstars were about to face each other as sworn enemies. How do they go from being best friends to enemies? Well, due to Ric Flair's departure, WCW needed new main event stars who would be extremely popular with the fans, and well, Luger and Sting said, "What are we here for then?" After the original Super Brawl, Luger would mostly be involved with the world title, while Sting would complete a few feuds for the United States title. Ultimately, both of them were set to have a feud, and the match at Super Brawl 2 was just the beginning of it. After showcasing a great match, they would signal to the whole world that this was the start of their epic rivalry. Number 3. Winning the King of Cable tournament. I've probably said it like 10 times by now, but during his reign, Sting was the top face for most of his career. However, if there is one guy who annoyed Sting the most, it had to be his biggest foe, Big Van Vader. In the year 1992, Sting and Vader would fight each other in a few matches, and well, Sting would never deal the final blow. He would always be an inch away from the win. Then, at Starrcade 92, the Stinger finally had a chance for retribution, where he would face Vader in the finals of the King of Cable tournament. A Sting vs. Vader match never disappoints. It didn't that night either. Sting would counter and turn Vader's splash into a powerbomb, which would seal the victory for him. A heroic win, indeed. Number 2. Sting vs. Triple H at WrestleMania 31. The wait was finally over in 2014 when Sting made his grand debut for WWE.
Oh my God! It's Sting!
It was everything all the fans wished for, and WWE made their dreams come true. Sting would aid Team WWE to a major win against Team Authority, which would set a feud between Sting versus Triple H. Even though the fans speculated a dream match like Sting versus Undertaker, his rivalry with Triple H was not that bad and the fans embraced it quite well. Sting was set to face the game at WrestleMania 31, a totally classic booking. The match, in terms of wrestling quality, was decent, but if we're talking about entertainment, it was just too good. There were interruptions from both the NWO and D-Generation acts.
We got DX out here! We got Triple H! We got Sting! We got NWO!
The atmosphere was filled with legends like Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, Shawn Michaels, X-Pac, and more. After 19 minutes of pure excitement, Triple H would be the victor. Even though Sting lost, it was still a great match. After all, it was Sting in WWE. Unfortunately, our legend would only be able to wrestle 3 more matches as his career was cut short due to a severe neck injury. As an honorable mention, it's worth remembering Sting's match against Kurt Angle at Bound for Glory 2007, where, despite his age, he showed superb athleticism to win that match. The moment you've all been waiting for. The most suspenseful moment of WWE of all. If you've made it this far, be sure to like and subscribe to be entered into our monthly shout-out giveaway. Then comment below, I subbed. Without further ado, let's get to the most exciting moment. Number 1. Sting with CWC or NWO. The New World Order was chaotic. They were a bunch of people who tried to destroy WCW, and in the long run won a lot of titles and were admired by the fans a lot. One of NWO's greatest storylines would be the one that revolved around Sting. During the NWO vs. WCW feud, Sting was announced as the 4th member of the WCW team, which would face NWO. But, well, things were a bit messy. The New World Order would confuse everyone with their own version of Sting, who was of course fake, but it was convincing. Sting's teammates would accuse him of betrayal and did not trust him going into the War Games match. When the whole world was questioning him on which team he was, Sting would answer them not by words, but with actions. How? He would completely decimate the New World Order after rappelling down from the rafters. In the long run, he would interrupt match after match and annoy the NWO like no one else and prove to the world that Sting was the true one-man army. Be sure to watch John Cena Greatest Moments, and I will see you in the next video.